If you've been involved with computer programming or applications like Microsoft Excel or Access, you've probably heard the term SQL. When people talk about SQL, they usually mean the computer language that is used to get data from a database. In addition to retrieving data, there are many other features of SQL that are used to interact with the database. You'll learn more about those features in this course. SQL has been implemented by many software companies and computer manufacturers. To make it easier to use SQL with different systems, practically all of the vendors of SQL database systems try to comply with the standard definition of SQL. The standard is maintained by the American National Standards Institute, or ANSI. Since its release in the 1970s, there have been many revisions to the SQL standards to accommodate new features. Even with the standards, there are many variations in how SQL is implemented. In some cases, vendors create an extension to the language to take advantage of features in their product. Also, some implementations of SQL might not provide all of the features that are specific to the standard. If you only work with one type of SQL database, you usually don't have to be concerned with how much or how little of the standard is implemented by that database. You simply use the features that are available to you. But if you find SQL examples that are for a different database, you need to be aware that the examples might be using features that aren't available for your database. SQL is broadly divided into three major components. These components are DML, or Data Manipulation Language, DDL, or Data Definition Language, DCL, or Data Control Language. In this course and in day-to-day usage, you will usually be working with DML statements. DML statements are used to retrieve data and to change data in a database. DDL is used to define, create, and modify objects that are contained within a database. For example, a database contains one or more tables, which are the objects that contain data. Tables are defined and created using DDL statements. DCL is used to define security and permissions for objects in the database. Most database management systems include two ways that you can interact with the database: command line, graphical user interface. The command line interface is used by opening a command prompt window or shell and starting the database's command processing program. Once the command processing program is started, you type commands and parameters. The commands and parameters are sent to the database management system, which can be running on the same system or might be on another computer in the network. After processing a command, the results or error messages are displayed by the command processing program. An alternative to the command line is a graphical user interface, or GUI program. The GUI might be provided as a Windows or Mac application, or it might be provided using a web browser. In a GUI, you can work with lists of objects in the database and use the mouse to select an object to work with. The GUI includes extensive prompting for database operations. Results are displayed in nicely formatted grids. We will make extensive use of phpMyAdmin in this course. Finally, we'll look at how SQL is used with an application. Most database management systems include many options for connecting to the database. You select the connection option based on the tool or programming language that you are using for your application. For example, if you are developing a web application that uses the PHP programming language, you can connect to MySQL using the MySQL native driver for PHP. Other languages use other types of connectors. Visual Basic and C#, two Microsoft languages, can use OLEDB or .NET database providers. Those providers are installed on the system where the application is running, which might be another system in the network. Java applications use JDBC drivers. Finally, SQL CLI, or Call Level Interface, and ODBC are typically used with the C and C++ programming languages.